Hello, this is Dr. Shiny. I have a tarot reading for Libra for the month of May. And from now on, I'm going to be doing 2 readings a month. I will also be doing a mid-month reading each month. So please check those out. And I'm going to get directly into your reading. For your current situation today, Libra, we have the Tower. And the Tower is representative of institutions, specifically on, it's focused a little bit on the fallibility of the institutions, right? So this is saying that there's definitely a purpose in building towers, right, for defending one's country or something like that. But if you can imagine this, you shouldn't have to rely on those towers for the entire time the country has power or something like that. That would indicate that there's actually kind of a failure of power there. It should come to the point to where the towers are no longer necessary. You know what I mean? When I say towers, I'm talking about a tool, a short-term solution to something we should be working out in the long run. You know, so that's kind of what towers are. Think about marriage in the incorrect way that marriage would be used. It would be as something that you conform to, a set of labels that you conform to, which keep you bound to another person, even when the love and feelings aren't necessarily keeping you glued together quite as much. So it's restriction. It's boxing yourself in, and there is a purpose in it. It doesn't mean you should never do it, but it does mean to keep things in perspective. So when these things come tumbling down, your sanity doesn't come tumbling down with them. Now, what's influencing you or crossing you is the Chariot, and the Chariot represents kind of very similar energy. The Chariot, you can think of it as like a vehicle or transportation, right? Where let's just talk about the difference between taking a walk and going in a car for a moment, okay? Um, taking a walk is very slow, right? But there's also a tremendous opportunity for you to enjoy every part of that process, okay? So most of us have all these thoughts and dreams, and we're in a rush to get where we want to go. But in reality, sort of enjoying being alive, enjoying the journey is kind of the point. And one of the most enjoyable ways to travel is just to walk, you know, or to take the long road to hoof it. Uh, if time is not an issue, right? So instead, we get in cars, right? And they get us where we're going really fast, and the journey can sometimes just seem almost instantaneous for like really long distances. But you lose a lot on the way too. You don't get to stop and smell the roses, so to speak, quite as much. And you lose an appreciation for everything along that journey. It's like your life becomes in at point A and out at point B, and then nothing in between. It's like you're just moving from wormhole to wormhole. And there are also drawbacks to this. So I've never heard of someone accidentally running over someone's pet while they were taking a walk. You know what I mean? so it's but if you're an animal lover like I am, and that's happened to you on accident, it can be absolutely devastating. And that's a pretty likely scenario in some neighborhoods. You know, there's pets everywhere. So it's a pretty likely scenario that if you're driving most of your life, it's going to happen one of these days. It's just a matter of when or if. So the question is, are some of those things really worth it? Are they really worth the convenience that we've come to take for granted as being without drawbacks, you know? So anyway, the foundation, or sorry, not the foundation, but the past of what got you to where you are is the Two of Coins. And the Two of Coins represents sort of juggling two projects, or perhaps like the home front and the business sense, or, you know, just in general, two situations at once. And it has an energy of it's possible for you to do this. It's not something that's like destined to fail, but it also is tiring. It will be best kept as a temporary measure and not something that you should learn to rely on long term. We'll put it that way. For the future, where you're going in the future, or where your events are taking you, if you get over sort of what's crossing you, is the Knight of Cups. Okay, and I think this is pretty appropriate because the Knight, all the Knights are associated with energy and motion and sort of dominance and charging on forward. But of all of the Knights, the Knight of Cups is sort of the most feminine of them. And in this artwork, he's, instead of being on a horse, he's on a fish. And the symbology is supposed to be the fish sort of like easily navigates the water in a flowing and harmonious way, not fighting, not dominating, like trampling the ground like a horse or something like that. So it's a little bit more of an intuitive and free-flowing way to get around, and you can do that. You don't have to just sort of charge forward on your goals. um, the foundation of the situation, or what's in your subconscious or your lower thoughts, is the Nine of Cups. And the Nine of Cups, it's got this energy about it to where you're sort of, you've already got your exams finished, and graduation is coming up. You've done all the work, you put it in, and there's still things that need to be done. There's still little details, nitpicky things that need to be done. So you're going to have a tendency to sort of space out, and your attention is going to be pulled back and forth between these two things. But the overall message is that you're going to get where you're going. The situation is going to work out the way that you've put things in motion to work out. The difference in this situation is going to be how you take it or how you go through it, whether or not you're focusing on the process and enjoying it, or you're just looking at getting straight past it and not really feeling the struggle. You know what I mean? So in other words, if you already know that you're going to succeed, then enjoy the struggles, because the more you struggle, the more you're going to feel the victory, the more you're going to feel the sweet success having struggled going through that. So there comes a point where you have this mental fortitude where you just know that you're going to climb that mountain. You know that you're going to do what you set out to do. And so you invite struggle, because you know that it tempers and just makes the end product all the more beautiful and rare, So there's that. What's on your conscious mind, or your crowning thoughts, is the Eight of Wands. And the Eight of Wands represents sort of channeling your willpower, your creative vision into the material world, in a really strong way too. So like there's the rocket on the artwork that this little mouse is riding. And that represents sort of, think about a person sitting on the ground and looking up at the stars and saying, I would just really give anything to do that. And so this guy just puts all of his resources into making this dream a reality. And it takes him to places he didn't even know existed, as stepping stones, And so the final product of all your dreams, all your thoughts and everything, is more than you could have possibly imagined, because there were things along the way that you didn't think of that are part of what you did think of, if that makes sense. Okay, so your advice for the current situation is the Page of Coins. And the Page of Coins has a very childlike energy. This is a dreamer. This is someone who has some fantastic visions and things like that. So I think that what's happening here, or what this reading is saying, is that if you can learn to devote yourself to these ideals that you've come to appreciate in your mind, if you can learn to devote yourself to those things, then all of the little life struggles they're kind of irrelevant at that point. You'll always be moving toward them, but you'll be moving toward them more gracefully and with less resistance if you just sort of enter a headspace where you just know that it's going to happen, so you don't have to worry about it. So it's kind of like the difference between belief and faith. I would say that belief would be, it's like saying, I know that this is going to happen, right? But faith is like saying, well, I'll be fine. I'll get there anyway, even if it doesn't. So there's a peace, a serenity that comes with just knowing that your vision is going to be accomplished. And that's where the style and the finesse comes in. And then when you have a semblance that you know what you're doing, people will get behind you and propel you even forward further. Your current environment is the star, and the star represents the sort of divine guiding light in each of us. The higher power organizing things. You can see in the artwork here, the figure is pouring out jugs from the sun and the moon, and these represent the conscious and subconscious mind, the known and the unknown. And she's pouring them out because there is a third thing for you to focus on, which is sort of the purpose of it all, the higher event, the higher life that is occurring in everything. And there's a way for you to fit into that by focusing on it. And when you fit into that, then all the other little stuff doesn't matter anymore. So this is in your current environment. This type of guidance is waiting for you to follow it. You have the mosses on the trees just saying, hey, follow me, and you'll be out of the woods. You'll be out of your little temporary loss or disillusionment. And so what I have for your fears card is the King of Wands. Now, this one I had a little, it took me a second for this. With the King of Wands, this is a person who is extremely powerful, but the way they achieve power is by inspiring others to get behind their sort of vision or enthusiasm. But the danger to it is that you don't always, because of his methods, because of the way that the King of Wands influences people, it's almost like manipulation. You never really are able to know his true intentions. And so by projecting your own intentions onto this figure, you give him power while feeling like you're empowering yourself. But in reality, you don't know what this individual's goals or ambitions are. And so I think this being in your fears card, you are afraid of extremely successful people, at least in this world right now, because you feel as though they are predatory in nature, or that they can use you as a pawn. They can use you as part of their plan, and you don't feel like you want to be a pawn. None of us do. So that's okay. You don't have to play other people's games. You don't have to be a brick in somebody else's foundation. You can make yourself more like water, more flowy, like the Knight of Cups compared to the other knights. And nobody can use you in that fashion anymore, just as the result of your nature. It's like you have a boundary around you that prevents people from taking advantage of you before they even get the chance. So the overall message for you today is the Judgment card, and the Judgment card is, letting the old go, let the old burn away, and the new come. And if you've been true to yourself, if you've been true to your vision for the future and what you know is right, then this has absolutely nothing to worry about. I'm not going to say no negative effects, because all of us do a little bit of clinging to the way things are around us. We grow accustomed to a sense of comfort or something, and so anything that disturbs that sense of comfort is going to be seen as sort of like a loss or a negative effect. But it doesn't have to be lasting. You can kind of like feel that and let it go. You can let go of those emotions and immediately focus on all of the new opportunities and energies that come along with the old being burned away and passing away. And so that's your overall message. That's saying that institute your ways of doing things that you may have seen as being really, really important to getting you like speed shotted on your way to your vision. They may be effective, but you may be also compromising yourself and your happiness on your way doing it that direction. So you may want to just take a step back, take a little bit of time, not rush so much, and follow your heart a little bit more closely than where your head's telling you to go. But anyway, that's the message for you. I will again be doing the mid-month reading, so please check back in for that, and please leave me any comments or questions that you have, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. Okay, till next time, Dr. Shiny.